Hello everybody, Edre here, and today I'm going to be doing a brand new album review, and I'm really kind of excited to talk about this album to you guys. For those who are new here, my name is Edre, and I just do casual reviews on YouTube. So I want to get straight into it. I always start with a bit of background. So I'm going to be reviewing Jazmine Sullivan's Hotels. This is an album that I prepared for when I heard about it by kind of going back, listening to some of her bigger songs. To be completely honest with you, I really was not familiar with Jazmine's work really much at all, to be honest. So I checked out some of her projects and just kind of got a general idea of what she's all about going into this. And a bit of background, this is her first album since 2015's reality show. And she's an R&B singer-songwriter type artist. However, I don't like kind of categorizing artists into specific genres, because if they ever want, they could change it up, and that is absolutely fine. And let's just get straight into this, because I have a lot to cover here, and I'm really excited to talk about this album. Musically, the singer-songwriter really continues down that R&B path that she has really carved out for herself. She's really made a unique name for herself with really powerful vocals on her past releases, and that continues on this album. Instrumentally, this album seems to have a bit of a wide array of influences here, and I really enjoy that. It seems to have a bit of a classic R&B tone to it in many spots of it. Instrumentation-wise, is sort of what I was expecting from an R&B album. However, there is quite a few surprises on here. Some of the tracks seem to have modernized her style, it looks like, with a bit more trap hi-hats and trap beats, such as Put It Down. The song Put It Down has that going on. And I really enjoyed that. I actually think that, it's been five, or has it been 6 years now? It's actually been around 6 years, because I just realized it's 2021 and her last one's in 2015. But sorry about that. But either way, I like it because there is a good amount of variety on here. It's not the same exact sounding instrumental on every single track. And despite the different instrumental exploration on here, the main centerpiece of this album is Jazmine Sullivan's really beautiful vocals, her beautiful, powerful, and passionate vocals. I really think that she is an extremely great vocalist in terms of R&B standards. She kind of gives me a bit of a throwback vibe, like some of the more classic R&B female singers out there. But it's not like she's just copying the old style. She does have a unique sound to it. She knows when to tone it down. She knows when to go a little crazy. And what I really appreciate here is that I tend to have an issue with some R&B singers, because a lot of times I feel they oversing. Think about Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston. They may technically have great voices, and I'm not saying they aren't good singers. But for my own personal liking, there's been a lot of times where I just have a hard time really getting into their style of singing, because on every single track, a lot of the times, they really go overboard, go on vocal runs. Jazmine Sullivan does do that here and there, but she knows when to tone it down. And she shows a great versatility on this album, and I think she sounds beautiful on here, and her voice is one of the best in R&B I've heard. Since I started reviewing albums on this channel last year. I will say, one of the most interesting tracks instrumentally is Lost One. Lost One is a very minimal lo-fi sounding track, and it is built upon a guitar loop, I believe. And if it's not a guitar loop, it is just a very minimalist, kind of muffled guitar melody throughout the entire track, and that's about it. There's no heavy beats or anything like that behind it, and Jazmine has soaring, powerful vocals over it, which, from a musical standpoint, is a really interesting choice. It really makes the song stand out on this project, and is definitely my favorite instrumentally. It's a very unique-sounding song. I really haven't heard much like it in this genre and style of music, so I really, really, really appreciate the track Lost One. And once again, I just wanted to reiterate on that track, I think besides how impressed I was, how risky that was to just have a guitar track and that's it, once again, what impressed me even more was her vocals. I think Jazmine Sullivan has a great voice, and on Lost One especially, she definitely proves that to be true. Lyrically, there's a lot to talk about lyrically in terms of the subject matter as well, and on this album specifically, I feel like Jazmine Sullivan really proves herself as a very prolific songwriter, and she's very focused. There's a really common theme throughout this project, and it's a really focused, well-centered album, in my opinion. Uh, she covers a wide array of topics, but they all kind of include love and societal expectations on women, and it's written in a way that is very that really kind of captivates me in a sense. Just as a listener, I really got sucked in right away. You know, the album has a lot of interludes on there, with spoken word interludes, I should reiterate, with sort of anecdotes and tales from 6 different women and their experiences. And I think that's a really great concept. And after each interlude, a song or two follows it up, kind of making it like a story, following up those interludes with a bit of a insight on these women. And it's just written in a way that is very interesting to me, and I don't see many artists write albums in this way. I really love the way that the interludes are intertwined and are followed up by a song that fits it. Overall, I think that it was a really great message to include those interludes. She could have just had the songs and still got the message across, but by having spoken word element in there, it really drives the connection home with the listener, in my opinion, and at least with me. I was really impressed there. Tracks like Pick Up Your Feelings is a great example, in my opinion, of a song that on the surface just kind of does sound like maybe a heartbreak anthem, a bit of somebody wanting to get a bit of revenge and just wants to be over. But when you dig a little deeper and look at the overall message and concept of the album and the topics regarding the expectations on women, it's a really great song that really fits the mood of the album, fits the tone of the album, and fits the interlude that it complements. Overall, I think that it was a great choice to have those interludes and have the songs intertwined. Overall, I think the subject matter is excellent, and she really proved herself as a great songwriter on Hotels. There are a handful of features on here, but none of them, what I appreciate is that none of them really steal the show, and that's what I'm always worried about when it comes down to features on really conceptual albums, because when there's a very conceptual project and you throw a feature on there, unfortunately sometimes it could distract from the concept, but that doesn't happen on here. Ari Lennox is on the track On It, fits the aesthetic, even if I do personally think that she oversins a little more than Sullivan does. Her voice still complements Sullivan very well, and it still complements the track very well. I overall had no issues with the feature on that track. And the other one that really stuck out to me was Anderson .Paak, which obviously complements Sullivan's vocals on the track Pricetags, which has a very sort of classic hip-hop, lo-fi sounding instrumental, which is once again a stylistic change from some of the other tracks on here, which is once again greatly appreciated. And Paak fits the track perfectly, once again. No complaints there. I think that he sounds great. It's kind of interesting to hear the what's the word? The relationship on that song, because it's about a guy and girl. It fits perfectly, in my opinion. I think Anderson .Paak knew how to adjust his sound to fit the song and fit the mood of the album. Overall, I think she did a great job picking the features to be on her project, and I had no complaints really with any of the features on this project. Overall, Hotels is a relatively short, concise album at only a little over 30 minutes, but it packs a powerful message about, the expectations of women, relationships, love, all of that. And it's, to me, a very impressive album. I wasn't really expecting myself to be that impressed or that blown away by it, considering it was a relatively short album. I didn't have much of an opinion on Jazmine beforehand. And at the end of the day, it is a really good album, and it's a really well-written album. I think her voice sounds really beautiful and powerful on this album. The instrumentals left a good amount of satisfaction. I don't know, couldn't think of the word. But yeah, so what are the negatives? Are there any negatives? There are. There definitely are. I do think that in some spots, I think vocally, as great as a singer as she is, she can come off a little bit predictable here and there. I could sort of predict what kind of singing style she's going to go with on certain tracks. I also do think that just because there is such a limited amount of real songs, as much as I love the interludes and I think they fit the concept of the album, I do think that it makes the album kind of go by really quick. But at the end of the day, those are minor criticisms. I think that, and just an overall general critique, is that I really liked it. And I think that even though I like it, I still believe that she has a lot of more room to explore. This is a really good album, but it's not a perfect album. And I think that it's good, but I think I could honestly see Jazmine improving even more as a songwriter and making even better music down the line. But overall, I really, really, really did enjoy this album. At the end of the day, Jazmine Sullivan's Heaux, I have honestly settled on giving a powerful 8 out of 10. Anybody that's new here needs to know anything above a 5 is good, anything below is relatively negative. So 8 is really positive. I was very satisfied, very impressed, and shocked because I wasn't expecting it to be bad, but I really was not expecting it to leave the impact and have the social commentary that it had. Overall, I think Jazmine Sullivan can still go on from here and improve. This isn't her peak, I hope. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. She sounded great. The concept was great. It was concise. Overall, everybody needs to check out this album. Pretty solid album so far. I mean, I've only reviewed 2 albums this year, but this is already my favorite this year. That being said, if you haven't already, please subscribe. It would mean a lot. And that is it. Goodbye. Jazmine Sullivan, Heaux, 8 out of 10.